So that's all about numbers. But coming back a little bit to your own story, right? It's very interesting to me how you, of course, had this big platform, which is the Embassy Group. You grew up seeing how that business has evolved with your father, etc. But you still chose to branch out and bring WeWork to India. How did that thought come about, and why did you do that? I mean, was it because you wanted, to chart your own path? Was it to do something different, or did you just stumble upon the idea?
So I think inherently, even while growing up and seeing the business being built, I have always had a bit of an entrepreneurial bug, and that has shown itself in very small parts of my teenage years, and just constantly trying to find ways to even or getting a thrill of just making money in small ways. Whether it used to I we used to throw like these parties for our graduation and New Year's and just like charge people for it. Just to just make, I think the first one we did, I made like, we put in $10,000 each, made like $40,000 and used all that 40,000 and, drove to Goa the next day and kind of like just blew it up. So small things like that. I knew that this excited me a lot, and I wouldn't feel as good about what I was doing if I wasn't engaged in that type of a, environment. In my last year of college is actually when I set up my first business with a partner of mine. It's a hospitality business. We run a few restaurants in Bangalore, and we also have like a catering business. It continues to run. So it's been about 12 years since we did that. It was only after that I went and said that I want to join the family business. And yeah, so I spent 2 years setting that up, really understood or experienced how hard it was for startups to set up in India at that time. 2012, 2011, 2012. There was no infrastructure. We used to meet, people in rented apartments that some design studio who we wanted to build our logo. They just taken a huge rented apartment. They were using only one room in that. The rest of it was sort of like just empty or coffee day or whatever it is. That's where meetings and all of that used to happen. And then I went and joined the family business, saw that we were building these huge tech parks for Googles and IBMs of the world. And this was also about the time where, the startup ecosystem in Bangalore, at least, was starting to really bubble. Like Flipkart had just got valued at like 16 billion. There was this Ola, all of this stuff was kind of happening. So you could feel there was a startup momentum, making, the Startup India initiative by the Prime Minister, all of that kind of happened in that
At the
in,
same
in
time.
that time period. And so the idea was to try to really, I think I wanted to always try to do something different, and try to have like something that I could put my mark on. And I think any young generation coming into the business, I think most of them feel like that. And that led us down this path of going to New York, entering a WeWork. And once we entered, it was like basically a light bulb, life changing moment, because I think the same thing you were describing, right, in terms of aesthetic and vibe, and that different feeling you get when you like compared to what traditional offices used to look like at that time. It was very clear to me and to all of us, my dad included, that if this was in India, this would just explode.
Blew up,
It
yeah.
would blow up, and that's exactly what happened. So we ended up creating what was the first ever franchise location for WeWork in the world. When we met Adam, that time, he was big in the US, big in New York, hadn't started global expansion yet. They were one center in London, one center in Amsterdam, something like that. They were thinking about going global, but Europe and China were where they wanted to grow. They weren't looking at India. They were like too low priced, now we won't make money. All of that was sort of like what they thought. So we said, look, we'll put our money, we'll take the brand, we'll grow it, for you. And when you're ready, you can come and take over or be a part of it. That was the original understanding that we had when we started WeWork.
How ironic how the tables have turned.
Yeah, everything changed very, very quickly. So yeah, I think it was my entrepreneurial spirit, the like the freedom and the ability that I got to be able to finally do that, because I don't think we would have ever obviously got this WeWork brand and franchise if it wasn't for what Embassy and like what the foundation had built already. And I'm doing this. Everything still is sort of like under the entire family umbrella, but have had this opportunity and autonomy to kind of grow.